Yo, happy Tuesday. It is just after 9:30, and you are back with Johnny Gaz Live. How we doing? How we feeling this week? What a crazy couple of days it has been in Detroit sports land, and sports land in general. Super Bowl on Sunday, Pistons BRAWL on Monday, and the Tigers make another huge acquisition on Tuesday. So we have a ton to talk about today. How you guys doing? Thank you guys for joining me early. Mile marker, don't know grit in the house. Trim, what up? No. One Pride, good to see you as well. Don't know. Yes, Cancun was incredible. Thank you for asking. We'll start right there. I just got back from Cancun very early Sunday morning. Me and my wife, the plan was to fly back from Cancun on Saturday. We had an amazing time. The resort was great. There's always some ups and downs with all-inclusive resorts. Cancun can be up and down, tourist trappy. You know, there's a little bit of everything down there, but we had a fantastic, relaxing time. Got a lot of sun. I don't know if you can see it. I got a little bit of color, a little tan, not crazy tan, but we laid around the pool pretty much every day. Good food, good company, just nice and relaxing. But we flew back Saturday, got delayed in Miami multiple times. So many people at the Miami airport, incredible. I mean, I'm used to, Detroit Metro, which is a busy airport, but in comparison to some of those boomtown airports like Miami, oh my God. So we got delayed in Miami. We did not get back into Albany until about 4 o'clock in the morning. Had an hour drive to get back to upstate to get home. I did not get to bed until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Finally got to see my son on Sunday, watch Super Bowl. Got a day to myself a little bit on Monday to recoup and was back at work today. So we are back at it full gear. We are back with Johnny Gaz Live. It was a fantastic vacation. I do feel refreshed. A little touch of sun. That's a great way to call it. Don't know. Thank you. Beef stew. That's right. We're going to talk about beef stew a lot today. Trim, don't worry. We're going to get into the stew side of things. I got that jelly all over me. That's right. It was a great time. We had a fantastic time. Me and my wife, Sandy. I owe a lot of it to her. It was really a birthday gift from her that led the charge with this. I'm not a great traveler. I'm not a great flyer. So going to destinations really isn't in the cards a lot for us, but we went out, we did it. We had a great time. It was good to reconnect. So things are great there, but I'm glad to be back with you guys. Glad you are here with me on Johnny Gaz Live. Make sure to slap the like button if you have not already. It's the best free way to help out the channel. Again, we're typically live Tuesdays and Thursdays. I was off last week because of the vacation, but we are back now Tuesday, Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to hit that like button and spread the word. Share it out if you can. Let's get the Johnny Gaz Live stream out there as much as possible so we can get friends and family involved so we can talk Detroit sports. There's so much good happening right now in Detroit sports land. So let's kick it off right there. Let's go around the D. So I think we're going to start with the Tigers news because I think, to me, that's the most recent news of the day. I think there's a lot of excitement surrounding Detroit Tigers baseball, and they continued that trend on Tuesday with another huge signing. They are bringing back Tiger legend Justin Verlander, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me personally. I really got into Tiger baseball back in the 04 to 06 era when things were starting to really turn around, and Justin Verlander was such a huge part of that. He was drafted in 04, made his major league debut in 05 with the Tigers, and now is coming back. So it's kind of a full circle thing, and I don't want to skip over that or fly through that today. I think that is huge news. He comes in on a one-year deal, $13 million. $11 million of that is going to be deferred until 2030. So they're basically on a $2 million contract for Justin Verlander in 2026, which lowers their cap number for this year. They can defer it to 2030. Yes, he's 42, going to be 43 years old at some point this season, but they're not asking Justin Verlander to come in here and be the ace anymore. He is going to be your third, fourth option, really, when all's said and done. And he's going to just give confidence to your young core group. anytime he is on the mound, you have confidence that you're going to get good innings, you're going to get good outs out of him. He's not the dominant fastball pitcher he once was, but that's, again, not what you're asking him to be. He's won multiple Cy Young Awards. Tigers will now have 2 pitchers that have won multiple Cy Young Awards on their staff. What a 1 through 5 they will have. And I think it's just so great that he's choosing to come back to the place where it all began. And that's just, it's really incredible for Tigers fans. So I think it not only plays on the baseball side of things with the Tigers just making a really smart move, but also on the nostalgia and the fan side with Verlander coming back. And it's not a move that's going to turn Verlander back into a Cy Young Award winner. We're not turning back the clock. That's not what we're asking of him. But it's adding that invaluable experience. And I think once you get to the playoffs and you think about going into any series with Tarik Skubal, Framber Valdez, and some kind of combination of Jack Flaherty and Justin Verlander. Now, we did get word today that Mize has a season-ending injury. So he is off the plate as far as your rotation is concerned. But even with that, you still have a great core of pitchers and at least a 1 through 4 that you are extremely confident in now with Verlander in the fold. So let me know what you guys think. Bringing home Justin Verlander to Detroit. Are you guys excited about that move? Are you excited about the Tigers pitching staff for 2026? This all came on top of the fact that the Tigers lost their arbitration with Skubal. Skubal wins his arbitration. He's going to earn a $32 million salary in 2026, the highest ever through arbitration for a pitcher. So he's getting a massive raise, over $20 million compared to the previous season. So it tells you a couple things. Obviously, Skubal's earned that money, multiple Cy Young Awards, and Detroit now has to pay that money. And obviously, I feel like they had an inkling they were going to lose that arbitration. And it sounds like and looks like now, based on what the Tigers have been doing, they are not afraid to spend the money for 2026. That the Skubal $32 million loss in arbitration, according to the Tigers side, is not a deterrent to them going after it. So now that they know they have 1 year left with Skubal, they are all in. I think the Framber Valdez happened prior to the arbitration word, so the Tigers were all in regardless. And I think that is just a fantastic sign from the organization, from the Ilitch family, everything involved in ownership there. It's a great, positive look as the Tigers head into 2026. So that wraps up the Skubal side of things. But again, with Framber Valdez, a 3-year, $115 million deal. That's big money for the Tigers. The highest annual salary the Tigers have given any player. And obviously with the contracts increasing, that's just part of baseball now. But it tells you everything about what Detroit's trying to do. Valdez isn't a flashy pitcher, but he gets it done. Ground ball guy, 4-WAR pitcher over the last 4 years with a sub-1 home run per 9 and outstanding durability. Pairing him with Skubal gives the Tigers what many analysts now call the best 1-2 punch in baseball. And that was before the Verlander acquisition that we just talked about on Tuesday. You have got to be excited about the Tigers. Now, the one question left here is that they've cleared up the pitching. The starting pitching, even the bullpen, you have to feel very good about, but they have not yet added that hitter or a few hitters that I think we all wanted them to add to this lineup in the offseason. That's still there, and I think that's something that they can address potentially at the trade deadline if things don't come together. But again, you have to go back to now where they're starting with their starting pitching staff. Skubal, Valdez, Flaherty, Verlander, and whoever you decide is your 5th pitcher at that point, you have options. And that's what you really want to have throughout the season, is the ability to have 5 pitchers at any one time that you feel good about. And then hopefully towards the end of the season and as you get into the playoffs, you're rolling with your top 3 and 4 as you work towards a World Series. And I think the Tigers are going for it. What do you guys think? Are the Tigers going for a World Series in 2026? Don't know says he'll probably be 4th in the rotation, but he'll toss some solid games for you. I agree. I mean, that's all they need him to be, is the 4th guy. come in and give solid innings when you need him to. Robert says, Johnny Gaz Sports, where's the tan, brother? Yeah, I agree. I don't, we didn't primarily just sit out and tan. I mean, we tried to stay active when we could. We got out and worked out a little bit, and we really like to enjoy the restaurants and the food. So that was a big part of it as well. I feel like after they lost arbitration, they just said F it and went all in. Don't know. I think you might be right. I mean, maybe they just said, you know what, this is what it is. I really think it has a lot to do with the fact that they know they have Skubal for one more year. But I also feel like with now these other acquisitions, they're showing you that they're not scared to go spend the money, or the fact that they know Skubal's money is going to fall off the books. They're okay doing the deferred contract this year and signing the major contract with Valdez. Love JV, but he's washed. I mean, that argument's there, right? That's Trim. You're not wrong. He's 42, going to be 43 years old. He's not the same pitcher he was. So a lot of this excitement might be, again, for what Don't Know said, is a fourth pitcher in your rotation. So how much, is he really going to give you? And if he continues to drop off, then you're still sitting where you're at. But you're right. The Tigers should definitely be fun to watch. I mean, just going to Comerica every couple of days, you're getting fantastic pitching. You're getting someone on the mound that you're excited to watch. So you have to feel good about that. Thanks, Robert. You shared the stream. I appreciate you, buddy. Green and Keith are my favorite. I like that trim. Yeah, when the Tigers spend any money at all, I have to assume they're going all in. I mean, that's just so rare, especially in Detroit sports in general. So to see kind of the first franchise of the four really go for it, or really kind of outwardly show you they're going for it, is kind of cool. I like that a lot. So that's the Tigers news. Let's flip this over to the Pistons. And obviously coming off of the brawl in Charlotte, we have to dive into that. It's a huge topic. That was Monday night. Detroit travels to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. And Detroit gets the win here, 110-104. Cade Cunningham leads the way, 33 points in this, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Strong down the stretch. Pistons still had 3 players score 20 plus points in this matchup. But it wasn't just a basketball game. If anybody who sat there and watched or seen the highlights, you know what happened there. Turned into one of the more physical scenes in the NBA this season. Almost a scary scene, you could argue, at certain points. And I came out with a short today that did outline the highlights of that brawl in Charlotte, but I would love to get your thoughts on this because I think you can look at this from multiple angles. Number one, the Pistons won a very physical basketball game. It's a type of team the Pistons have been for the last several seasons. It's what a lot of folks like about this brand of basketball, like about Detroit basketball. It seems to mirror a lot of the teams of years past and Pistons championship teams of years past with the bad boys and the going to work Pistons. So that idea of physical and grit, that mentality, I think a lot of people like to get behind. Detroit versus everybody certainly is a thing. So let's kind of set the scene with this. In the third quarter, Hornets big man Moussa Diabate fouls Jalen Duren pretty hard under the hoop. They've been having words throughout the game. Duren shoves him in the face, and it then starts to spiral. Diabate throws punches. Miles Bridges jumps in, and before you know it, Isaiah Stewart is running off the bench. Wasn't even in the game at the time to confront Bridges. This is an automatic ejection per NBA rules. So Diabate, Bridges, Duren, and Stewart were all tossed from this game. We even saw Hornets coach Charles Lee get ejected later on because of all the fiery things going on within the game at the time. Just tells you how the environment was. Post-game, JB Bickerstaff really defended the Pistons players more than anything, saying that they didn't start it, and if someone throws a punch at you, you have a right to defend yourself. He specifically cited the Stewart situation as a brother protecting his teammate. That's a quote from Sports Illustrated. That seems like a bold take, to be honest with you, from your head coach, especially with Stewart coming off the bench, getting involved there. I thought it was a very interesting interview from the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. I know you, as a coach, you want to protect your players. and you want your players to protect your players, but there is a limit to this. And I think that's the question that I have for you guys in chat today when we're focusing in on the Pistons brawl against the Hornets from Monday night. Is this just Pistons physicality at its finest? Or is this a liability for a team that the rest of the NBA doesn't want to win this way? Other teams around the NBA don't like the Detroit Pistons in that style. And the biggest fear is that as they get closer to the playoffs, even if they do maintain their current status as the top of the East, that maybe they don't get certain calls in the playoffs, or certain players are being pinpointed or called out because of what they've done during the regular season. I mean, Isaiah Stewart is the obvious target here in this argument, as he comes off the bench to protect his teammate, which you have to respect. But is it necessary? Was that truly necessary in that moment? Because when he came off the bench, I felt like things were dying down and could have came to a halt without him getting involved. I understand his side of it. He's he feels like he is the protector of his team. That's why he was brought into the organization. He has that reputation, and it just continues to build on itself. But does that then become a problem for the Pistons? So you like the fire, you like the grit, the physicality, and the way that they play that has earned them their current status in the East. But now Isaiah Stewart's going to be looking at, most likely, what I'm hearing is 20 to 25 games worth of a suspension, which takes him away from the team for a long period of time. So for them fighting for maintaining a first seed in the East, they're now going to be without their enforcer. And if this continues to happen in the playoffs, he may miss time then. So is it a benefit to the Pistons to continue to play this way if suspensions are ultimately the only thing that can hurt them moving forward? So I'd love to hear from you guys in chat. Are you okay with the way the Pistons are playing, or do you think at this point the way they're playing is now becoming a liability? Of course, we want to see them continue to win. You don't want them to play soft. That's not what I'm saying. That's not my argument here. But there's a limit. And the Isaiah Stewart thing is a shining light into what that limit is. If he's on the floor and involved, of course you understand. And you don't want players throwing punches at your all-stars, Jalen Duren, Cunningham. You don't want that to happen. So you do need players that are willing to step in. But there is a limit. Don't know says Duncan Robinson walking away from the brawl like he was disappointed parent with a kid throwing a tantrum was the highlight for me. That was funny. And I saw an argument today that people were getting after Duncan Robinson because he didn't get involved. He didn't find himself in the skirm or grab onto somebody. I don't care. I don't need every player on my team to be gritty to that extent. And you have to have players with their heads on straight. A few of them have to. A couple of them have to hold people back or just stay out of it. And I'm okay with that. But I thought that was funny too. But I really think this is a bigger argument. I think this is something where the Pistons, they are where they are because of the way they play, but they have to be smart about this. And there is a point where you can make the argument where they don't have to do some of these things. They're good enough not to have to be as physical to this extent. In game, differently. When the whistle blows and afterwards, there's a line. And so you got to be willing to hold yourself back at a certain point. And that's the argument, I guess, with Isaiah Stewart here in this particular one. Don't know says the way they play is the reason they win. They thrive on that emotion. The rest of the guys really seem to rally around it. I agree with you. And the side of it is you don't want to lose that at all. And I'm not asking them to pull that back to the point where they change the way they play. But I just think there needs to be a common goal here and an understanding that where these suspensions are going to hurt them if this continues. Mile Marcus says Pistons equals physicality plus ego equals inevitable fights. I mean, that's sort of that's why you see what you see in Charlotte. So there's going to be physicality. It's going to come to blows at a certain extent, but you have to be willing to walk away or willing to say who should be involved to win. Jason Slayman says he was protecting his teammate. Was there a limit with Robin or Green? I mean, that's a good point, right? You have to have players like that on your team, I agree with you. Those are two great examples, probably even better examples. Was Rodman and Green a better player than Isaiah Stewart? Do they provide more to their teams? And you're right, maybe there wasn't a limit with them. So that's a good argument, Jason. There's certainly several sides to this. I appreciate that. Got to keep your head on a straight swivel. Yeah, did Rodman or Green come off the bench like that? You know, I mean, Rodman did some crazy things, you know, but did they ever come off the bench like that? So that's the biggest question. Do we like the physicality, or is it a liability? And will it be a liability when it really matters there, when they're playing for an Eastern Conference championship, or if they're playing for an NBA final, which we all hope they are? We all hope they are. So one more around the D topic I wanted to get into. It obviously affects us Detroit sports fans, primarily the Tigers and Red Wings. And many of you have probably seen this story already this week, but I want to put a spotlight on it because, again, it will affect how we watch our favorite sports teams. There's a big shakeup in Detroit sports media this week. Today, we're talking about how it affects us, Tigers and Red Wings fans. Both the Tigers and Red Wings announced that they're moving their broadcast rights away from their current struggling regional sports network model, we won't mention the name, to a new partnership with Major League Baseball's media arm, which is very interesting that they're going to take on both Tigers and Red Wings. So the key thing for this is that in 2026, for the Tigers and the 26-27 Wing season, MLB Media will produce and distribute the Tiger broadcast and then support Red Wing broadcast. The first of its kind team crossover broadcast deal. That's pretty unprecedented. So why did this take place? Short answer for this is that the traditional regional sports network model, particularly the FanDuel Sports Network and Main Street Sports Group, have been in financial trouble. Again, a lot of you are already privy to this. I live in upstate New York, so I don't actually watch a lot of the Detroit content through that local. I get a lot of it through the national, so I haven't had to deal with a lot of this. So again, this is really affecting you guys directly. But they missed their rights payments. It created uncertainty around that programming. You didn't know where you're going to watch your favorite team. So because of that, the last several years, games were on FDSN Detroit, and fans had to describe through cable, satellite, or streaming options. But that network, of course, was on shaky ground. So what's the real impact? What does this really affect moving forward for you guys? So under the MLB umbrella, broadcast should be more stable, less vulnerable to a network going belly up midseason. Obviously, you don't have to worry about that with the Major League Baseball network. You're less likely to wake up and find that the channel you watch your favorite team on doesn't exist anymore. That's not gonna happen. So the Major League Baseball program will handle the production and distribution, pulling from its current infrastructure designed to support dozens of teams already. So you're going to watch very similarly across your networks, cable, satellite, and your streaming options. But you won't lose access, basically. You're not going to be cut off. Platforms and packages can change. More details on what the exact providers are pricing is expected soon. So they really haven't come out with all of the details just yet. But the bottom line is you're still going to watch through your traditional and digital platforms, but who carries the feed and what subscriptions you need could shift once the MLB Media rollout finalizes their distribution agreements, whatever works. The Red Wings will continue airing on FDSN through the end of the 25-26 NHL season, but beyond that, nothing's guaranteed. That network's future is uncertain, so this MLB partnership is basically a hedge to make sure fans aren't left in a lurch mid-season. So this is only temporary as far as the Wings are concerned, but it provides that stability for you fans. It's fantastic. Let's go back to it. Jason says, if Rodman would have done the same thing with Jordan, it would have been swept under the rug. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Pistons don't have a Michael Jordan yet. Cade Cunningham may be on his way there, but certainly is nowhere close to that kind of status in that player. So, I mean, it shines a light. Detroit always has that light shined upon them, and it's always why they've had that grit mentality. Pistons had Rasheed Wallace, and there's certainly, it's funny, as Rip Hamilton actually leads the way as far as actual ejections, but there's an argument there to be made. I think they have to be smart. They don't have enough talent, Jason, for me, for them to lose guys, especially in key times. I mean, you argue Rodman and Green, but the other players on those teams would make up for their losses. Whereas, like, the current Pistons teams aren't the 92, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Bulls. You know what I mean? They're nowhere close to that team talent level wise. Same thing with the Golden State teams with Green. Like, they could afford to lose those guys for a couple games or for a stretch. I mean, Isaiah Stewart, you can afford to lose him for a couple games, but not 20, 25. And you certainly can't afford to lose your enforcer in the Eastern Conference Championship. So I think there's an argument against it. Going back to the broadcast deal, Don't Know says, I think it's a good look. The league should make sure the teams are on. Could you imagine the NBA or NFL leaving their product being on TV to chance interlocal deals? They wouldn't do it. NFL wouldn't, just wouldn't happen. And it stinks for Tigers and Red Wings fans in general. I mean, diehards, all they want to do is just watch their team. So to have to juggle this is crazy. I think that the stability will be there through the MLB network and however they plan to distribute this. So I think it's a really good thing. I was happy to hear that news. My dad, my brothers have all complained. And so I think this will provide the stability they deserve, which is good. And good for you guys. And I'll keep updating you as they update their terms, conditions, where you're going to watch, how you'll get access, those kind of things. What's up, Chantel? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I appreciate all you guys for getting involved. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button. It's the best free way to help out the channel. Share the stream out to your feeds there. Let's get your friends and family involved. Let's all talk Detroit sports. There's so many good things happening right now in the Detroit sports scene. We just talked about the brawl in Charlotte and what that might mean for the Pistons moving forward. We'll continue to talk about that today. What up, Mike? How you doing? Trim says, I hope the Wings grab a top 4 D-man. We're gonna keep it low on the Wings talk here today, Trim. My apologies. We're gonna dive into the Wings once we get a little closer to the end of the Olympic break. We might actually talk a little Olympic hockey as that opens up here in the next couple of days. So that'll be exciting. We'll talk that a little bit on Thursday, maybe. But yeah, Wings in their Olympic break, and we'll get back into it. They were kind of struggling as they got into the break. It certainly came at the right time. But so many good things happened around Detroit sports. Talked about the Pistons and their victory in Charlotte. Talked about the Justin Verlander acquisition and what the current Tiger rotation will look like, what this means for the Tigers in 2026. I think they're still missing a bat to that lineup, but can't really complain. They're spending money. Where we thought they were going to be before the school ball arbitration to where they are now is just leaps and bounds different, in my opinion. I have much more confidence and faith about what they want to do with this season now. So you got to feel good about the Tigers, Pistons, and we're going to spend the rest of this stream on our main topic of the day. All right. So we know Sunday was the Super Bowl. We know what happened in the Super Bowl. I don't need to break it down for you. The Seattle Seahawks pretty much dominated Super Bowl 60, 29-13 over the New England Patriots. A very inspiring defensive performance over what a lot of people are saying were an undeserving New England Patriot team. Two organizations that have been around the Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era, and what many would argue was a very boring game in its totality. But if you like defense and you like true football, I think it was an excellent watch, and it provides a blueprint for what the Detroit Lions could look to do in 2026 and beyond. And we know the NFL is sort of a copycat league. As offensive heavy as it's been over the past 5, 6, 7 years, I think this now shifts it back a little bit defensively. Obviously, with a dominating performance like the Seahawks put on, where they were able to either design creative blitzing schemes with their secondary or just rush their 4. And it was effective, and it played with Drake May in that offense. And again, it provides a small blueprint to what the Lions could look to do in 2026. And we've talked already about what we think the holes are for this Lions team as they head into next year. Bear with me. Pinched dry throat. But the Seahawks just really dominated Super Bowl 60. I mean, that's the biggest story coming out of it. Kenneth Walker III as the MVP, getting that run game involved, and they insulated their quarterback, Sam Darnold, to the point where he didn't have to be elite, especially in the Super Bowl. He played well in the NFC Championship game, so you can't take that away. But it wasn't Sam Darnold or the quarterback that led the way for Super Bowl 60. It was the defense. It was the rushing attack for Seattle. And I think now we can take a look at what the Lions have and what the Lions could be in comparison for 2026. We know that the Lions have been hurt injury-wise. I don't think that's a surprise, and I'm not using that as an excuse. But the truth is you have to have a certain talent level to be able to compete like the Seahawks. And the Seahawks have a lot of talent in their defensive backfield compared to the Lions in their current state. And we know what's happening with the Lions safeties. Brian Branch recovering from the Achilles injury, and Kirby Joseph with his knee injury that we just don't know what they're going to get out of him. Certainly long term, it has shortened his life cycle with the Lions, and you're left open-ended in your back end because you also have questions at corner with Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed, who are both signed going into next year. They were your number 1 and number 2 cornerbacks when healthy, and odds are you're going to roll again with them into 2026 because I think you have a lot of other areas that you're going to look to add players. So in spots where you have guys under contract, whether or not they've underperformed, you're going to have to expect more out of them in 2026. So a guy like Terrion Arnold is so important and vital to this defense. He has to get healthy, he has to be available, and he's got to take that next step. This cornerback room has to be a strength for this Lions team. We thought that would be the case in 25. Injuries and underperformance hurt them. Injuries to the safeties hurt them. So that in general has to be something the Lions need to consider heading into 2026. On the positive end, if you have 2 healthy safeties, if you can get both of them back at some point during the season, it increases that entire group so much. That back end increases so much with those healthy safeties. And if you can get a little bit more out of Terrion, you kind of know what you're getting out of DJ Reed. I think you still have the makings of a very good secondary in 2026. Linebackers were probably your best unit for the Lions last year. Jack Campbell, of course, leading the way in all-pro season. We're not sure what's happening yet with Alex Anzalone, but if he returns, we're not sure what's happening with Malcolm Rodriguez and a couple of the other free agents the Lions have, but you might be able to also reset that unit as well. That then creates a situation where really the Lions, all they have to do is add talent to their defensive front. You know, they have Aiden Hutchinson, free agent Alfie Muhammad is still up in the air, but even if they did re-sign him or something else they don't think they're going to be able to do, they have to add. They have to find another edge. Aleem McNeil underperformed coming off that injury. Is he back to form in 26? Does Tyleik Williams enter the fold more? Even if all that ends up positive, the Lions still have to add more talent to their defensive line. That's what will make the day. For them to be able to rush for, have an effective defensive line, to be able to play more nickel and dime packages, that's what Seattle was able to do so effectively. They had talent in their back end, like you do with Brian Branch, to be able to utilize safeties, utilize corners in your blitzing schemes. They're not that far away. Hence the title of today's live, not far away. I really believe that to be the case. I think the Lions are 2 or 3 impact players away on their defense from really competing on that side of the ball, and that's assuming they get some luck on the injury side. Mile Marker says, for me, the top priority is a real center, and that's not ignoring Mile Marker The offensive side of the football, the offensive line in general might be the biggest group need. Obviously, the interior, the center, what happens with the two guards, and then Taylor Decker's status moving forward is so huge. Does he retire? Is he going to give the Lions one more year? Because that really affects what they do in the draft, but they can't be lazy in how they recover from this. Even if Taylor comes back, they need to plan. They probably still draft a tackle. And we're going to talk about in future lives mock drafts that will affect what the Lions are doing and how they can help fill these holes and maybe add these players that I'm referring to. So the draft obviously going to be huge. And then what they do in free agency this offseason to me is so key, because to me they are not far away, but that's assuming they make some less than splashy moves to move this thing forward. I'm not talking Max Crosby. I'm not talking Trey Hendrickson. I'm talking moves that move the needle. Chantel says, celebrating my 55th all month for February 5th. Congratulations, Chantel. 55th year. Congratulations. You know what that earns? That certainly earns one of these for today. Our first one of the day, if I can find it. Happy 55th, Chantel. I appreciate you joining us. February 5th was the birthday. Well, heck yeah. Enjoy it all month long. We have birthday months in my household, so you enjoy it. Trim says, happy 55th. Absolutely. Yeah, Rob, we need to find out who is staying. You're absolutely right, because what we can't have happen is the Frank Ragnow situation from the year before, where the Lions sort of went into the draft blind and then were blindsided by the loss of their all-pro center. That can't happen regardless of what Taylor Decker decides to do, because even if he says I'm coming back 1 year, number one, it could only be 1 year, and he may not make it a whole season. So you really have to be safe with the depth you build behind him in tackle. I agree with you, don't know. Center needs to be a vet. I agree. If they're going to spend money elsewhere, we talk about a non-splash. Well, the one splash I'd be totally fine with is going to spend money on a veteran center. Go get Linderbaum. Go get him. If he's available, go get him. 1,000% go get him. And the other thing we have to mention, of course, Mike McDonald's play calling. And don't know, Grit, I'll give you a little credit because you had mentioned this to me. It's a lot about scheme. So I can mention players and adding talent. But good coaches work with the talent they have. And we know that Calvin Shepard, young defensive coordinator, but's been around the talent for several seasons. I'm not comparing him to Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald, obviously head coach, way more success now, a Super Bowl champion head coach. That's where Seattle's aggression, being able to adapt, designed around their strength, using their depth, being willing to go make moves to add to their defensive front, their linebacking crew that made a difference, and then using that talent as effective as possible within the scheme. So a lot of this comes down to Calvin Shepard and how does he scheme this up? What adjustments are made with the talent that they have when they go into the season, and continue to adjust in season when injuries do occur? That's just part of the deal. You hope to get a little more luck that way, but you expect that a little bit, and Calvin Shepard has to work around it. Mr. Linder is my number one wish too. Absolutely, Trim. Bring him in. Let's get him here. So, I mean, based on what I've been able to run into, just in looking at the true comparison, Lions to Seattle, and I'm really looking more defensively because I think offensively the Lions still are above and beyond what Seattle was bringing to the table. I really believe that. If the Lions can shore up their offensive line, and that doesn't mean every single position. That might mean a banged-up Taylor Decker. That might mean still using young guards and having some growing pains there. But even with that, I think the offense is where you want it to be. It's really more about getting this defense more up to where the Seattle Seahawks team was. And I don't expect them to mirror that, but I think that they're not far away. I really believe that. And we know, I mean, the NFL is unforgiving. It's just a season like this one for the Lions at 9-8, coming off of their 15-2 and a number one seed is a perfect example of that. You have to take advantage of your opportunities. The windows, I know we say that a lot. The windows are small. They only open, I'd say, every so often, and you have to jump through it. And I think that's the point where the Lions are at right now. And we'll see if they're satisfied with 9-8, with just being better than they were before, or if they really want to take this to the next level. Are they really not that far off, or are they still that far away? And I think that's really the argument. Sean Walter said we need to renegotiate Goff. Absolutely. I mean, for anything to happen, honestly, that has to be renegotiated. His contract number one, where they could work out $30-some million, maybe even more, needs to work out. Because right now, if you look at their cap number, it's like -$8 million. Obviously, they can't work off of that, but that cap number isn't real. And we know that they'll renegotiate Goff. I think that's already kind of in the works. I expect to hear about that very soon. Definitely before the draft. This offense could be unstoppable. Trim, I'm kind of with you. Again, with the right adjustments on the offensive line, you hope the new minds with Petzing and Kafka and with Dan Campbell relinquishing that control, that there'll be more consistency, a firm identity, and the offense I don't think will be the problem. It's really about, can they add the piece that they need on the offensive line? And I think, don't know, Grit said it, is it that center that sort of kind of gets everything back to where you were? What's up, Theo? He says, we have to build our defense to one that has a dominant four-man rush. That was it. That's how Seattle really got it done, especially towards the end of the game. I mean, they were really able to just pin back and play nickel in their dime packages, let their cornerbacks be as athletic, or their secondary be as athletic as they needed to be, and let their front four go at it. You know, their defensive line, their linebackers just go at it, and they really went to work. I agree with you, Theo. Don't know says, interesting note, Seattle used a slow, power-based pass rush, and very few blitzes in the Super Bowl. That's the Lions' plan. They just don't execute it. Exactly. I mean, if you notice the way they used the cornerback, I'm sorry, 21, I'm blanking on his name. Lions thought about drafting him. Don't know. Help me out, buddy. The cornerback for Seattle there that they didn't draft a couple years ago. Or he went number 5. He went just ahead of where the Lions were going to pick. I think that was the Branch here. Anyways, Witherspoon. Thank you. Yes, they used him like they used Brian Branch in a way, at least in coming after the quarterback. I don't think Witherspoon plugs the run as good as Branch does, but I agree with you that the way that they used him in that scheme, it wasn't overwhelming blitzes. It was using a corner or a man worry on the other side in conjunction at times. I mean, you compare, and that's I'm going all over the place, but now you're talking about Witherspoon. I look at him in comparison to Terrion Arnold, and they're just not the same player. That's what worries me about Terrion. Like, Terrion's smaller. He might be lankier, but I just mean smaller stature. He doesn't play with that grit that Witherspoon plays with. That's where you want Terrion to get to. But I agree with you, don't know. They use that scheme very well. They didn't have to blitz a bunch, but when they did, it was super effective. Yeah, Goff is going to restructure very soon. I've been hearing a lot of things about Bosa as well, Trim. I think it's more of the price point with him, but that's a short-term fix. That's certainly not a long-term, but it's also maybe a win-now move if they did that. But we'll see, because he's injured too. I mean, he's often injured as well. So I don't know if I love that move either. Don't know says Seattle only blitzed 13% of the time, but Drake was still single. He absolutely was. It's like after that first series, once they got to him, it was over. It was almost in his face there. Drake May just didn't play well, and that was it. I mean, Seattle just did anything they wanted to do, controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides. And when your quarterback, when Drake May, he was missing, even open receivers he was missing. He just couldn't get it done. Yeah, Brad Holmes, he loves the discount bargain bin with those injured players, Trim. So who knows? I mean, that would make sense, right? Based on the track record. So this is what I had noted down here. For Detroit to become an absolutely dominant defensive unit, this is what they need to have happen. They need a true lockdown corner. And that could come from what they have. That could be Terry and Arnold. It could be, but he has to be available. He's got to be healthy. So they have to establish at least one true lockdown available corner. That's number one. They need a second elite pass rusher behind Aiden Hutchinson. Al-Qadim Muhammad is not an elite pass rusher. I don't care how many 10.5 sack seasons he has. It came in spurts. It came in small spurts. And he's not the guy you want in the money downs in an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl. So he can be a depth piece in my defense, but the Lions need a second elite pass rusher beside Aiden Hutchinson. They need to be able to also make consistent high-level coaching adjustments. That's on my list. And that's going to come with Kelvin Shepard's experience, him being used to hopefully using the same players in their availability and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? I mean, they need to be able to scheme for the players they have. Then they also need depth that can absorb injuries without collapse. Because when injuries happen, and we've seen it year after year, their depth just isn't enough to hold up. It's just not enough. So you have to continue to build that depth that can absorb those injuries. That's the way the Lions get to being an elite defense. It's easier said than done, but I think some of the pieces are already there. And the true additions that need to happen, I believe, are on the defensive line. So where do you guys have Lions? Where do you think they are in comparison to the Seahawks? Their defense alone? Do you feel good about the offense? In general, do the Lions have a chance to win a Super Bowl in 2026? I think they were the 7th best odds heading into 2026, plus 1,400, I think I saw it at. So they're in the mix as far as Vegas is concerned, as far as analysts go. I think a lot of this comes down to coaching. I don't know, Grit said that to me, and the more I thought about it, buddy, the more, I can talk about adding defensive players as much as I can, and that will help the cause. It helps the coach, but it's not the ultimate solution. If you can't put your players in the right positions, you can't scheme it up. It's all about matchups in the NFL. I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. Seattle's defense just overmatched anything that New England was going to bring to the table. And the Lions need to create those unbalanced matchups as much as they can in 2026. And can they do that? And I think they do that through their coaching. Shrimp says AQM was a product of Hutchinson. I agree with you. I mean, a lot of players would be a product of Hutchinson, but he was a huge product there. I really think Aleem McNeil's a big part of that situation as well, too. I mean, I think we all thought, the injury would hold him back, but then he came back, had the game against Tampa Bay and looked dominant. And you thought, okay, this is the shift back to a dominant defense. And then he just fell off, and injuries and everything got worse and worse. And Aleem McNeil just wasn't the same player. And you hope that some of that comes back, because if he can get back to some of what he was in 2024 and the year before, then you're in a good situation. Pursue Kenneth Walker III. I don't think that's in the cards for the Lions, unfortunately. I think they're more so trying to figure out what they're going to do with David Montgomery, and does he still stick around? Man, I'm taking a lot of slack for the short that I created after Brad Holmes had come out with that press conference at the end of the year, and it seemed to me as if he was saying they're going to shop David Montgomery. Now, we don't know if that's true yet. There's more rumblings this week that they may still look for a trade partner, but based on how I'm hearing David Montgomery talk, how I'm hearing Jahmyr Gibbs talk, I don't know. It seems like they want him back. He wants to come back. So what are they going to do? What are the Lions going to do? It's not up to me to decide. I want David Montgomery back. I think it'd be easier for them to bring him back, go at it again with Sonic and Knuckles. Don't create more position groups where you got to have more players. I don't think that helps your cause. Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning more with you now. I feel like a scheme can create superstars more easily than superstars can make a scheme work. I agree. Brock Purdy. You know, that's my example there. It seemed like the entire season Lions never got into a rhythm going as a team, and I think that was coaching schemes. Yeah. Offensively, especially. John Morton disaster. That hurt their offense huge. And then Dan Campbell takes over, and the stats were there, but the consistency wasn't there. The identity disappeared, and a lot of things fell off mile marker. So I think that's a good comment. Theo says, sign Lopez to a couple with Tyreek Williams, and hopefully McNeil returns to earlier form. I think Lopez is a must re-sign. I think he needs to come back. He was one of the better parts of your defensive line this year. He's a great depth defensive tackle. I'd like to have him back. Tyreek, I think, takes the next step. Hopefully he stays healthy, and you want to get more out of McNeil, but I think they still need to add certainly an edge, probably another defensive tackle as well. I don't want to break up Sonic and Knuckles either, Trim. I'm with you. And if they don't, and they can retool the offensive line, I also think they could finish with certainly a top 5 rushing attack, if not better. If not better. So again, guys, let me know in the chat. Can the Lions win a Super Bowl in 2026? The way they're currently constructed, the coaching staff they put together now on the offensive side of the football, what we know about Kelvin Shepard, the injury component on the defensive side, the safeties being a concern, defensive line, free agency, draft coming up. There's a lot of offseason here to figure this out, but I think it's a very key offseason for these Detroit Lions. For Brad Holmes and the organization, to me, this is kind of a make or break. This is a turn this thing back towards a Super Bowl or being comfortable driving down the dirt road of mediocrity. I mean, that to me is the make or break for this offseason for the Lions, and we'll see what they want to do. Lopez, Wingo, Tyreek, and Aleem is a solid rotation in the middle. I know they don't like Wingo against the run, but he creates movement. Look, if Wingos can stay healthy, Aleem returns to form. I like Lopez, and I think Tyreek's a jump. So I think we're sitting pretty good there as well. It's solid, but is it Super Bowl winning, right? That's the question. That's the big piece to this. I like Wingo too, though, and he showed flashes when he was truly healthy. So let's see what he brings when healthy in 26. No, at this current time, I think they need to add more on defense and O-line before they could win a Super Bowl. What's up, Mr. Abstract? How we doing? I don't know. MP the Abstract. How we doing, buddy? I like Mr. Clippy as your little symbol there. I miss Clippy, man. Miss those old Word documents. I think they need to add more on defense and O-line. Defense, we just spent a ton of time on what they need to do defensively. We compared the Lions to the Seahawks, the Super Bowl winning Seahawks. Offensive line has been the biggest point of concern. I've beaten that to death with my content leading up to this point. It was kind of refreshing to see Seattle just dominate defensively because it kind of shifted a lot of mindsets back towards what I think the Lions need to focus on. And I really think it's the defense. The offensive line, yes, it's got to be a focus, but they need to get better defensively. Mr. Clippy is a throw. I love Mr. Clippy. Shout out Mr. Clippy. I love that. You know what Mr. Clippy deserves? He definitely deserves this. I don't know if it's gonging. That's a Clippy gong. That's a gong for Clippy. Good for him. With a true edge opposite Hutch, yes, the D-line is stacked. I know, we got to get him. We got to get him. Where's the edge coming from? Where is he coming from? That's where I want to know. Is it a draft pick? Are they seeking somebody out in free agency? I don't think it's going to be one of those splashy guys. I don't think we're seeing Max or Trey coming into town anytime soon, unfortunately. Construction is incomplete at this time. We have to see what the changes end up being. You're right. I mean, we can't predict necessarily whether or not they're going to win a Super Bowl. I just think I like to look at it in stages, right? And in comparison to what Seattle was still rolling with at the end of this year in the Super Bowl versus what the Lions have now. I mean, both these teams are now at the same spot as they head to 2026. So that's what we're into. I'm at the wrong airport. What? Trim, where you going, man? How'd you get at the wrong airport? That would have been worse than what happened to me this weekend. Chantel, night. Happy birthday, 55. Talk to you later. Appreciate you. Happy 55. Hope you enjoy your night, your month, your birthday. Abstract says, what do you think about David Njoku? Do you think the Lions will have an interest in him as a backup tight end? I do. I think there's a couple. The tight end market, free agent wise, is looking pretty good. Pitts from Atlanta, I like as well. I might like him even more than Njoku, but I would take either one of those guys, especially because you're asking them to be behind Sam Laporta in the mix, there, not to be the number one tight end. So I like that move. If they get it at the right price, I like it a lot. I really do. Hey, thanks, Don't Know. Says, I seem to remember live where you talked about the Lions needing to establish an identity on defense being key next season. Seattle kind of proved you're right. Good call. Hey, I mean, and again, I gather information from a lot of you guys and Don't Know you're a part of that process. And I just think it's easy to knee-jerk react to the Super Bowl, especially, everybody wants to compare and contrast and, well, how can our team get to where that team was so that we can lift the Lombardi? But every NFL season is different. The fact that Seattle and New England were in the Super Bowl, I would have never predicted that at the start of the year. So it's always kind of a crapshoot. Injuries are going to happen. You just really hope the Lions can get a little bit of luck. And I don't like to use that as an argument, but it's just like a true factor in this. Like, there's no way, and I said the same thing last year, though, there's no way they're hit as hard as they were with injuries. But the problem is they may already be on a bad leg with this. No pun intended, with Branch and with Kirby. That hurts them so much. If those safeties can somehow give them a good season of football, I think it changes everything defensively. It changes even them having to add a bunch of talent up front, because if you have a back end with those two and they're healthy, everything else seems to work. And it did. Things were working when they were healthy. So to me, that's a make or break for this defense. There's your identity right there. I don't know why my message sent twice. Oh, that's okay, buddy. More messages, the merrier, I always say. I chose the wrong day to stop drinking. That's every day, man. Let me tell you, speaking of drinking, and I don't do a lot of heavy drinking, and me and my wife didn't do a ton of heavy drinking in Cancun. We don't really go that route anymore. But in Cancun, our favorite drink ended up being a mango margarita. And in Cancun, maybe I was just late to the party. Everything is rimmed with tahini, the spice tahini, right? It's like the mix of chili pepper and lime or whatever and salt. It's really good, very good, and it takes a minute because I haven't really had it before. You mix a mango frozen marg with a little tahini on a rim. It was beautiful, bud. I had probably 1.5 million of those over the week. What's up, Theo? Says, I thought it was said that Seattle had 30 new players under BRAWL. New England. We don't need that much, but earlier needs stated and some depth pieces. Well, both of those teams, I think this is what you're getting at. Both of those teams remade themselves recently. Obviously, with Seattle and when they traded Russell Wilson, flipping that quarterback into a lot of the players that they have now, they kind of went a different route. New England last year did a lot of, obviously, good drafting, but a lot of free agent pickups as well. Seattle was more situational pickups and pickups that made a lot of good difference for them defensively. But both those teams, they really remake themselves, put themselves in position this year. So that's why I mean that NFL changes every year. The schedule, injuries, it all changes. I don't know. They might have to just do that, because I just don't think Kirby's going to be a long-term solution. Even if he gives you some miracle season this year, the prognosis for this knee is it's just not something that's ever going to go away or going to be fixable, and could just pop up and be career-ending at any point. So they're going to have to make a move for somebody. So hopefully they go get one of the guys you're referring to. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you a message. Don't know. I apologize. I saw you did message me on TikTok. I want to hit you up. I do want to set something up for us very soon, maybe even next week. Thursday's kind of tough. I'm a little bit backed up this week with my travel schedule. So I don't want to rush the show with us, but I want to do a mock draft. So I will message you. We'll put something together here for the next week. It's crazy to see what happened with the Branch career. I agree. That's the problem. It's like I felt so good. I mean, they re-signed Kirby. They spent all that money, and now that's up in the air. And now what do you do with Branch? An Achilles you just don't pop back from. Speaking from experience, I'm not an NFL football player, but I have snapped an Achilles, and it doesn't heal quickly. It just doesn't. Trim says, been watching Lions lose a lot in my 43 years. Would love to see a Super Bowl before I take the long dirt nap. They're going to get one for you, Trim. I feel it, buddy. I'm 40. You got a couple years on me, but I'm with you, man. I'm going to try and get us there. We're going to talk ourselves into it. I live in Texas. Tahini is basically fun dip down here. Thank you. Okay. I mean, I knew it existed. Like, I've had it before, but I just didn't realize like it was so prominent as a drink topper or whatever you call it, drink rim. And I just don't do a ton of margs, truthfully. So when you're in a situation where it's Margaritaville, it's like, let's go. And I like mango. I don't know. Like, if I'm going to mix a marg, I'd rather have a mango marg than like a strawberry. I do like pineapple. I mix some pineapple, tequila, I'm a tequila guy. I do like tequila primarily. I used to be a Jack Daniels guy, but that just dragged me down. Downtown Julie Brown. I'm sure you'll find this hard to believe, but I have a Google Doc prepared. Yes, I love it, buddy. I'll shoot you a message. We'll hook something up soon. Trip says, my ACL, MCL, meniscus all got tore up, and I've never been able to run fast safe again. Yeah, that's the whole knee right there, brother. That's bad news. That's ugly. Ow. Yeah, that's no joke. When in Rome. I don't know what it means either. I just know we'd eat some pasta. That's not what I would do. So you do. You drink margs and you lay in the sun. It was great. It was beautiful. It was a great vacation. Again, I'm sorry I was not here last week, guys. I appreciate your patience with me. We had a lot of content come out last week. All the Mount Rushmores came out. Those actually did very well across the social media platform. So I appreciate you guys for getting involved, for weighing in on the Mount Rushmores. Those are out there. I put them out for all the 4 Detroit sports teams: Lions, Pistons, Tigers, Red Wings. My Mount Rushmores. Go and weigh in on those if you haven't already. Today we had a ton of fun Detroit sports topics. The Verlander pickup. We hit on the Framber Valdez deal, the Skubal arbitration, the Pistons brawl in Charlotte, comparing the Lions to the Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl 60 champions, and what it will take for them to get there in 2026. And we've had a ton of fun tonight, as always. I appreciate you guys for getting involved in the chat. I will be back on Thursday at 9:30. The Pistons play again on Wednesday this week, I believe it is. Yeah, Wednesday against Toronto before the All-Star break. So we'll kind of recap where the Pistons are as they head towards the final portion of the season after the All-Star break. And, of course, any Detroit Lions news that pops up from here till now, I will be on top of it. We're going to get into our mock draft season, start talking about some available free agents, everything that the Lions could do this offseason to make a winner. And I hope we're there. Don't Know Grit, Trim, you guys are amazing. Thanks for being involved in the chat. Theo, Mr. Abstract, Chantel, happy birthday yet again. Rob Jackson, appreciate all you guys for getting involved. Mile Marker, everybody over at Dan and Lions Talk Live for getting involved with us here. Make sure to check out Don't Know Grit on TikTok, Facebook, all of the social networks. Great Detroit Lions content daily. Appreciate you, Matt. Jason Sleeman, appreciate you getting involved. Derpy, I saw you. Robert Murphy was involved and shared the stream today. Thank you so much. All the likes, all the shares. You guys are amazing. Make sure and come back and see me Thursday at 9:30. We'll be live Tuesdays and Thursdays all throughout the Lions offseason, talking Detroit sports and all the good that surrounds that scene all the time. Appreciate it. Let's wrap. Let's wrap it. You know what I'm saying? Let's wrap it with a bow. Let's tie it up. Just like Trim said, have a fantastic night. Mile Marker, Trim, Don't Know. You guys take it easy. If you haven't already, slap the like button for me before you leave. It's a great way to say, hey, I'm here. I see you. I feel you. And it's completely free. It's $0.00. It's the greatest value you're going to get before you go to bed here this evening. I would say take advantage of it if you can. And I love you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Have a great Wednesday. I will see you Thursday at 9:30. We'll have content coming out tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, and a ton of good stuff on our live on Thursday at 9:30. I will see you all real soon. Peace.